Before we officially get this episode of That's Delightful started with the little thing that goes, do-do-do, That's Delightful, a member of the Pod Bros Network, and our music and our son saying, welcome to That's Delightful, online at facebook.com/That's Delightful. Now time for That's Delightful. I think we have to talk about a woman who we have found over the course of this podcast extremely delightful, and health-wise, she's having a really rough time right now. But she's a huge fan of the show. She's been a donor to the show, and she's played along with us on Facebook every chance that she got. And we're talking about our friend Yvette Nunez, who's in the hospital right now and going through some pretty heavy stuff. And I thought we all thought we could take a moment to, just talk about what she's brought to the show. Because that's how we've known her best, is through this show. I've known her through the radio station that I work at. Also, in a story for a little bit later, I've known her through Tupperware, believe it or not. But I think our best time with her has been with her participation on Facebook, and really like her alignment with Michelle and just dropping the hammer on all of us.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, she's very complimentary to you.
I need the help.
Recording this podcast is like, sending out these little capsules into outer space, and without some feedback every once in a while, it's hard to know, A, how to get better, and B, how we're coming across at all, if at all. And Yvette, more than just about anyone, has been very honest with her feedback, very complimentary when we deserve it, and held us to task when we can do better. And it's just been it's been really delightful to have her interacting with us in this way over the last year and a half.
I think one of her comments specifically called out Michelle and me and said, watch your mouth because Michelle can kick your ass. I've been listening to the show. So, ha ha ha, we're all having fun, but at the end of the day, she can beat you up. She can take you down. I first met Yvette when I was a Tupperware consultant. I was a Tupperware salesman. In fact, I had a website, the Tupper Dude. No, the
Tupperware guy.
No, it was it the Tupperware guy?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was the TupperwareGuy.com, and my email was like the TupperwareFella@gmail.com. and as all multi-layer marketing programs work, you have to get consultants that are underneath you. And Yvette reached out, and this is what, 5 years ago? And she reached out and inquired about becoming a Tupperware representative and whether or not she could sell underneath me. And I was like, absolutely you can, because I don't have anybody else selling underneath me. And if you sign up tonight, I get a free mandolin. So we have, courtesy of Tupperware, if I want to make crisp cut French fries, we have a badass mandolin underneath our stove right now because Yvette signed up to sell Tupperware. And so for that, Yvette, we thank you. Genuinely and seriously. You've been an absolute joy to interact with through the course of this podcast.
We love you, Yvette. We owe you and the world a Gigli Drunk cast at some point.
Yes.
And it'll be forthcoming.
Yeah.
The Gigli Drunk the Gigli Drunk cast. Wow. I haven't had anything to drink yet. The Gigli Drunk cast. We love you, Yvette.
That's Delightful,
a member of the Pod Bros Network.
Welcome to That's Delightful. Online at facebook.com/That's Delightful. Now time for That's Delightful.
Episode 74 begins now. Facebook.com/That's Delightful and Patreon.com/That's Delightful if you want to become a donor or a patron to the show. There are $1, $5, $10, and just for funsies, because no one's going to do it, $50 plans because, hey, the economy's doing good right now.
Donate $50.
On a monthly basis.
A month.
But hey, the economy's good right now. So if you were ever going to donate $50 to a podcast each and every month,
it should be ours.
This is the month to do it. This is the podcast to do it on.
I think everybody should donate to me all the time.
I do donate to you all the time. My love is free. My love don't cost a thing, baby. Jennifer Lopez says so. Hey, we have a lot to cover on this episode. Man, there's so much going on, including... This is something that happened locally here that we'll talk about because I think that this spans all over the United States. But a couple of homeless people who our town's police department said the other town dumped them here. I don't think they did, but but it's happened in other areas. So this is something we're talking about. Safe injection sites. The Hurricane Florence is the one that's going to be hitting the Carolinas.
Right.
And Trump says we're just as prepared as we were for Puerto Rico. And that gives us an A+ prep effort.
Sign me up.
Except he also diverted $9.8 million of FEMA funds
To
ICE.
Yeah.
Yes, to deport. Hey, but you didn't hear. To deport nefarious hurricanes.
Here's hoping.
The book from Woodward's book came out. But we're going to start with the economy real quick because the economy is up, but Trump's numbers are down. Who wants to explain this? Don't all go at once.
Trump is a human nightmare that can only hold the nation's attention for so long.
Yes. I think I've got Trump fatigue.
I really feel like that's what's happening. I remember, you know what it made me think of is, like, I remember when the Backstreet Boys were at the height of their powers.
Because Backstreet's back, all right.
Yeah, they hit the scene with I Want It That Way, which everybody must agree is a great song.
Oh my God, I saw the Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode.
Oh, right. See, you got your one hit. And then, I mean, you had NSYNC at the same time. There was like this pop music revolution, and it was the worst. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. It was just bubblegum pop all the time. And I thought to myself, this will never stop. This will be the rest of my life now is this kind of music. It will never fade from power.
That's how I feel about today's music, by the way.
I remember feeling this way about Total Request Live with Carson Daly. The show will be on till I die.
And it's true.
But it had its moment. It hit hard. It stayed for a couple years. And then everybody was like, from one day to the next, was just like, oh, actually, fuck this, actually.
Did you see, real quick, did you see the TRL where Eminem and Mark Wahlberg were on at the same time?
What?
And
Eminem called Mark Wahlberg Marky Mark.
he said we're all having fun together, and Eminem looks at Marky Mark and goes, well, I'll be one big funky bunch. And
my gosh.
That did not sit well.
No, Marky Mark was pissed. Don't call him Marky Mark.
Don't call Marky Mark Marky Mark.
I also learned today that Mark Wahlberg gets up at 2:30 in the morning to start his workout, and he works out like 4 times during the day. So I will never fuck with Mark Wahlberg.
Well,
ever.
you shouldn't, because he
Well, you
blinded
just
somebody.
did. But he listens to all of his press, you guys. But I really feel like that's what's happening with Trump. I feel like the nation was fascinated for a while. There's going to be some hardcore fans who will go see him on every reunion tour till the day he
Including
dies.
Plaid shirt guy, hopefully forever.
Oh, hopefully, yeah.
Hashtag plaid shirt guy forever.
Oh, plaid shirt guy stole my heart.
But I feel like Trump has intuitively known that if he doesn't keep up the momentum, he's going to lose everybody. And if he even faltered for a minute, it's going to be hard to get it back. And I feel like that's what's happening. He's reached the peak of his powers, and it's all downhill from here.
Right. And you're right. I think, like we said, 84% of the base still supports him. And I think they will continue to do so. But it's the people who are kind of like, well, I mean, the economy's strong, so he's doing something. And then at some point, you can't justify it anymore. It's like, okay, the economy's strong, but fuck this. Because it's too, like, okay, I can't anymore.
Did you see his tweet on 9/11?
No.
Where
He said, 17 years since 9/11! Exclamation point. That was his tweet.
Christmas is in December.
Pretty much.
Pizza emoji.
Miss Lippy's car is green.
You get out there and you find that fucking dog.
I'm missing something.
That's Billy Madison.
Okay.
Oh man, I'm with you guys on the Trump fatigue, and the reason I say that is because especially Michelle, how active I get on my other Facebook page that's not affiliated with any media at all.
You troll people.
I absolutely troll people.
That's your troll.
And I want to bring up my friend Gary again because our mutual friend Dustin.
Gary is the invisible fourth person.
Gary is the invisible fourth person on this podcast. Our friend Dustin has deleted me as a friend now on Facebook because of our back and forths. So I had posted something that was politically motivated on my page, and Gary and my thing now is we passively aggressively give each other, instead of the like, the heart, the cry, the O, and the laughing face.
Yeah.
Everything that each one of us posts politically, the other person just gives it the laughy face, like, ah ha ha, you're an idiot, that's stupid. So somebody was asking about this on my other page, and I said, oh, me and this guy put laughy faces on each other to basically passively aggressively tell each other we think the other person's crazy. And so he chimed in with, or I could just delete you like our other friend and we could not be friends over stupid shit. And so we kind of got into like a serious conversation. And he was like, to be honest, I'm kind of tired of all of it. And I said, I got to be honest, I'm kind of tired of all of it too. So I've really backed off the trolling. The one thing I've noticed though is that he has not backed off the posting of like the crazy shit.
No, he's tired. What that means when people say I'm tired of it is I'm tired of hearing from you.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's essentially because you hear people saying, I'm tired of all the politics. I'm tired of all of that. But it really what it is I'm tired of you disagreeing with me.
Okay.
I'm tired of Trump altogether. I want to talk about him. I want to talk about how bad he is. Actually, I do kind of want to do that.
Well, you had this op-ed that got put in the New York Times. That's happened since the last time.
The weird anonymous op-ed.
Yeah, the weird self-aggrandizing, like fake heroic op-ed.
Right. Let me pat myself on the back for...
Yeah.
The adults are here. We're trying to keep the union together and stop him from making terrible decisions and taking stuff off of his desk.
So it's either Mike Pence and he's really, really stupid, or it's somebody else trying to put Mike Pence under the bus because Mike Pence is really, really stupid.
Yeah.
So...
Or it's Mike Pence writing it so much like Mike Pence that he's pretty sure people will second guess and say it's not Mike Pence. He's like double deking the entire country. But just the gall of writing an op-ed like that, that's the main message is pretty much, we are all in grave danger, but rather than take steps to actually stop it, we're going to try and thread the needle here and see how far we can ride this thing anonymously. How's that sound?
Don't worry. We're only going to put us to the brink of war.
That's right.
We won't actually cross into war.
Adults are in here to make sure nobody really gets like stitches hurt, just scrapes and bruises.
We're going to keep swiping paperwork off the president's desk and trying our best to run a puppet government. Is that okay with everybody? Cool.
I want to know, because they've got how many weeks until midterms?
I think we're
4, 5.
yeah, it's not far away. November, September.
No, we're like
October,
6
November.
or 7 weeks still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what they're going to do, because I'm starting to see more and more of the more conservative leaning newspapers and periodic, whatever the fuck they're called. Anyway, so I'm seeing them post more and more headlines that are spouting how awesome Trump is and the economy is great, and ooh, look what he's doing here, and look, he's getting rid of the Palestinian Liberation Organization office in DC, and so he's playing right to the white Judeo-Christian supporters is what he's doing.
Well, the Woodward book came out, and that paints a very different picture.
Well, so Bob Woodward is one half of the team for Deep Throat that kind of blew the cover on the Watergate scandal. And he's known for basically his credibility. He's won 2 Pulitzer Prizes for journalism. And so when Bob Woodward...
I believe it's pronounced Pulitzer Prize.
Oh.
Which, when I was younger, I thought it was Pulitzer Surprise.
Really? Did you really just interrupt me for that?
Anyway, continue.
Okay.
Tell me more about his Pulitzers. Pulitzers.
So...
Ideologue? Go ahead.
I believe it's Pulitzers. He's got 2 Pulitzers.
knocked me off my roll. I don't know where I was.
Yeah, now you don't know where. What you were saying was he's kind of the standard. He's a credible source within the industry because he's won the Pulitzers and he was part of Deep Throat, and it was what was it? Woodstein,
Woodward and Bernstein.
Woodward and Bernstein. So
Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman.
That's what I was going to say. Robert Redford and two American heroes. That Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. But
he was Robert Redford. He's the handsome one.
But you were saying he was credible.
Yeah. That's it.
So the book carries some weight to it. Like when the book comes out, it's not like, oh, here's another Omarosa book, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
It's about time we hear what old white man has to say about the Trump presidency.
Okay, well... I mean...
Way more credible than that African-American type over in the White House.
That one has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that Omarosa is known for being sneaky.
I watched more MSNBC than is helpful, and every time they talk about Omarosa, they usually have 1 or 2 African-American commentators, And they always start by saying, first of all, the black community does not claim Omarosa. They disavowed her years ago. That was how they preface everything before saying, but she has tapes.
I
so we have to
remember
talk
when
to
Trump
her.
appointed her the head of his African American outreach committee, and the whole community was like, the fuck?
Don't outreach. Don't reach out to us now.
They were like, fuck that. We tried to trade her.
But she's just, I mean, with her, it's a matter of she's just been manipulative and sneaky, and it's always she's always got secondary gain. It's always something that she wants from it. So, I mean, she was all about Trump until she got fired. Now she's all about how horrible Trump was and poor me, and I can't with it.
I don't know if this is to her credit, but she said in the last week or so that she has a tremendous amount of guilt and she feels terrible because she helped get this man elected, and she's seeing now what a huge mistake that was.
She knew on The Apprentice.
What I wanted to ask was, are there people, do you think, that genuinely feel like that? Do you give them a pass, like, okay, now you know for next time?
No.
Or is it
Kelly and I practice, you shouldn't have done it in the first place. We don't do forgiveness.
Yeah. It's on your permanent record.
Yeah.
okay?
There are no do-overs.
I can't tell if you guys are being sarcastic or not.
We are.
I can't either. No, but here's the thing. Trump, it's not like he became shitty after the election. We knew what we were getting.
He was a horrible human being.
There's nothing he's done since the election. There's been some shocking things, but he was every bit as shocking in the run-up to the election. He was making fun of people with low intellectual abilities. He was calling Mexicans rapists and thieves and murderers.
Bad
Bad
hombres.
hombres. Oh,
Bad
damn, you took it from me.
hombres. He was making fun of Rosie O'Donnell. Anyway,
I think that's where America really should have drawn the line. It was like,
yeah, they
whoa,
should be
whoa,
like, hey,
whoa.
national treasure Rosie O'Donnell?
Okay, can I just stop for a second really quick? Because I had to look it
Yes.
up. The Pulitzer board pronounces it Pulitzer.
It's Pulitzer.
That's what I was saying. It's polite. Pulitzer.
Anyway,
It's Pulitzer.
Pulitzer sounds like you're
Pulitzer.
saying pew, pew, pew,
Pulitzer.
pew, pew, pew.
I don't even know. That's probably a word somewhere.
Totally is. But so here's what to watch with Trump. He is a paranoid person in general and craves adoration and validation. So imagine how he must feel now, not only having people turning to work with Bob Mueller, but having anonymous moles within his administration posting anonymous op-eds. His paranoia has got to be through the roof. And that's why it feels really dangerous to me to be posting these things when he's, a step away from a number of things he could do that would fuck us up for the foreseeable future, up to and including launching missiles and or a nuclear weapon.
Which wouldn't shock me if he did. Because
Right.
he doesn't understand the long game. He really doesn't.
No.
It's like one day he's friends with North Korea, and then turns out people are now laughing at him because Kim Jong-un did not do what he said he was going to do. Shocking.
We did get the remains back in the last couple of days.
But they're still producing nuclear. I mean, like, that's cool.
But then he thanked them for not having nukes on their military parade. So
But
that was like a big hurrah.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's too erratic. He doesn't understand. There's no concept of other people's lives. So pushing a nuclear button isn't an issue for him.
Did you hear the phone call they played from when he called in to a news station on 9/11 in 2001?
Yeah.
No.
I've heard it.
He was commenting on how he now had the tallest building in New York City on the day of. A, it isn't true. And B is maybe the worst thing you could say.
But he's also said, where was Hillary Clinton? I was there helping people. Do you
Yeah.
remember that? No,
also
he wasn't.
did not help people. Also did not donate money that he said he donated. Also did not see thousands of Muslims celebrating in the streets, which he also claimed on September 11th, 2001.
Right, everybody claimed that. That's not. I wonder if he believes the Sharknado thing. Did you see that people think that somebody had
actual
posted a
Sharknadoes.
graphic with a news ticker at the bottom that said Hurricane Florence is picking up sharks. And so
now Russia's just fucking with us.
so that has gone viral.
Oh my God.
And Snopes had to post something that says it's not in fact true. Sharknado's not happening. I feel like we don't know the difference anymore between
We
what's
are ripe
real
for
and what's
destruction.
not.
We deserve whatever we fucking get in this country.
Maybe we're all wearing virtual reality helmets and creating our own world as we speak.
That's the Matrix.
Oh, is
You
it?
haven't seen the Matrix, yeah.
No.
All the humans are plugged into little pods, and they are part of a virtual reality program that mimics reality, while the computer overlords drain us for our energy. So it's a shared delusion.
I was gonna say earlier, just regarding Trump and his ego.
Oh yeah, that.
The way I would deflate it, if I were the New York Times, just to fuck with them, just to lean into it and take ownership of it and take it away from them, I would literally on the front where it says the New York Times, put the failing New York Times on their newspaper every single time.
Yeah.
Yes, please call us the failing New York Times. That's our name, and we're killing it right now. Because you take it away from them, you know.
Totally.
I don't know.
Playing into the bully strategy.
Yeah.
But it's interesting though, because you can kind of tell the difference between when he's tweeting and someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Because today he tweeted out to the Carolinas, the people in Hurricane Florence's pathway. He tweeted out that they should, please listen to people and evacuate and, be safe. But like all the grammar was accurate and it was professional. And there was no exclamation point at all.
Yeah.
It looked like somebody with smaller fingers that knew what they were doing typed it out. Hey, speaking of Puerto Rico,
Don't ever do that again.
why? I thought that's how you pronounce it. It's not Puerto
It's
Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Kelly, you speak the Spanish. How do you pronounce Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico.
It's a Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yes, mijo.
Don't say it. It sounds funny when you say it.
So, Hurricane Florence is getting ready to make landfall, and it's supposed to be a very destructive, catastrophic hurricane. The news I saw was like, this is a hurricane, yes, but it's worse than most hurricanes. It's supposed to, I think, elevate to a level 4 before it hits land and get stronger. So, Trump said, hey, don't sweat it. We got this. Just like he said, we've got it here in Puerto Rico.
Hey, look who you talking to here. I'm Donald Trump. Come on, remember Puerto Rico.
I did well.
I shot the baskets with the paper towels.
Come on, I threw you guys the bounty.
Nearly the same amount of people that died in the World Trade Center died in the hurricane in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and that's a recent revision. For the longest time, they claimed like 69 deaths in Puerto Rico, and then had to revise it from 69 to 3,000 because they basically hid those numbers from us for months.
Well, and it wasn't necessarily direct because of the hurricane. It was more like because they didn't get any help.
They had like no
Right.
electricity
They
or
had
running
no
water
hospitals.
or anything for months.
Right.
Which is way worse because
Right.
you can't prevent a certain number of deaths during the actual catastrophe.
But you
The
can
goal of
help them.
FEMA is to fish people out and get them to safety as quickly as possible.
I will bet, what is it, dollars to donuts? That, or however
We
you
should
say
Google
it.
it. Yeah, that's the expression, but I don't know what it means.
Well, I'm going to bet him. That Carolinas absolutely get help from FEMA pretty quickly and better than Puerto Rico because they're in his.
Those are some battleground states.
Yep.
Well, I think what shocked me the most, obviously outside of the deaths, I think what shocked me the most with Puerto Rico was all the people down there on the ground that, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist and say that they were plants, but all of them like, Trump is helping us. We have no problem here. We've got everything we need. I don't understand why people are saying that we're stranded here.
I didn't see any of that. You must have seen it on Gary's page.
Oh, it was the propaganda, but it was videos. It wasn't like
Right, there were probably YouTube videos, right? That like somebody did.
no,
Or
they were
news?
from news sources. It was a thing. It was like a legit thing. There was a small group of people down there that were white and American and not from Puerto Rico that were like,
Kanye West said slavery wasn't a bad thing.
yeah, he said it was a choice.
Oh, that's what it's. Well, I knew it was something stupid.
Yeah, Kanye
so
said
people
slavery
say
was a
stupid
choice.
things.
And then Kanye cleared it up and said, I mean, it's a choice, as in, like, for me, it's a choice. Like, I choose not to acknowledge it. I would never be a slave. So to me, slavery is a choice, is how he...
So you would have gotten lynched then.
Wrapped that
That
up,
was
yeah.
your choice. Okay.
How much did they take from FEMA to divert to ICE?
$9.8 million.
Nearly $10 million
Yes.
to deport the illegals instead of taking care of FEMA.
Yes, and breaking news, the migrant camps for children have reached all-time highs.
Yeah.
The ones where they were supposed to reunite them with the parents?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
they said they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Because they
Like,
deported the parents.
yeah, we actually made them disappear. Told them never to come back.
Like the DVR was full. We were playing catch up before we knew it. Time had passed. We don't know where the parents are.
Right.
We're stuck with these kids. But we're all caught up on Breaking Bad, which ended 10 years ago. So
Like,
I
what
guess
are you gonna
that's
do,
good.
you know?
Yeah.
So,
Other breaking news, the term dollars to donuts is a pseudo betting term. Pseudo in that it didn't actually originate with actual betting involving donuts, but just as a pleasant sounding alliterative phrase which indicates short odds. The phrase parallels the earlier English betting expression, a pound to a penny. The phrase appears to have originated in mid-19th century USA. The earliest citation is in the Daily Nevada State Journal, February of 1876. Crops up
Fucking
again in
Nevada.
print some years later.
gotta love Nevada, man.
Lee Childs, the creator of the Jack Reacher series, uses the phrase dollars to donuts in his books a lot, actually, just in case anybody was wondering.
I was wondering.
He's an alliterative fella.
Yeah. Oh, I read books.
It's folksy is what it is, just like Jack Reacher.
You're killing me. Don't do that.
Hey, we're looking at the Supreme Court bench and Kavanaugh, who
We're looking at it. We're crying over it. It's,
may get added.
Have you ever checked? Maybe Jack Reacher is pronounced Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher.
I don't know.
We're
Why
all
don't
about
you
the
go-
alternate pronunciations
Why don't
tonight.
you go tell everybody how you taught my kid Dr. Cock?
No, he taught him duck cock.
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock. So it's like, duck cock? Yeah.
Dr. Otto Octavius.
Yeah, I'm just
otherwise known
saying.
as Dacock.
So maybe we shouldn't listen to Kelly.
We're going to get a knock on the fucking door from somebody.
Spider-Man.
Hey, you guys can't be parents. We're
We're here to take your children.
But here's the thing. They'll take them and they'll be like, hey, so I was thinking reconciliation. Let's work on that.
It's not often you hear CPS say, we're sorry, but hey, we're sorry. Have the child back,
we
please.
don't know how you made it this far.
Do you guys drink alcohol?
And here's a medal for all your... What's going on with this guy? Because it looks like he's a lock to be confirmed, but Kelly was mentioning before the podcast started that there's people within the House that are flipping their vote. Maybe not enough to keep him off, though. I don't know. How does this work?
Well,
you're up to date on this.
We're doing a pretty decent push. There are people calling into the office of the couple of sort of moderate Republicans. Susan Collins is, always the one.
She's a blue baller. She gives blue balls every time.
She does, but there are indications that the noise is so deafening that they may be looking at it. And the Democrats have done a fair to middling job of unearthing some pretty stanky shit about him. So right now we are past the initial hearing where he has to answer live and on camera. He had some pretty decent flubs, but no knockout punch was landed. But the Democrats clearly have a lot of shit on him. Cory Booker pulled sort of a stunt where he declassified, or he released some documents that the Republicans did not want people to see.
Which I could have appreciated more if he wasn't so like, I could lose my seat over this, but I don't care.
Well, you have to go for the headline.
Okay.
Somebody had to grandstand. Somebody had to be
You
a
have to
little
raise
cavalier.
the stakes of this because this is boring shit to anybody. This was about some emails where they had some dirt on some other people. The main thing being that Kavanaugh lied about it under oath previously, and they have him dollars to donuts? No, that doesn't work. They had him dead to rights on some, pretty substantial lying
Dollars to
under oath.
donuts. You're using that phrase right.
I think you're
Hell
just
yeah.
trying to find him because you're like fair to middling.
Fair to middling. I'm trying to channel my
They
inner
think he's the
creature.
cat's meow, but
The creature and the cock.
we think he stinks worse. Never mind. Fuck it. I can't do
Anyway.
it.
So we're entering a phase now where he's no longer having to testify before the committee, but they're able to submit written questions to him, and he's going to have to respond to them. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting because one thing we found out in the run-up to his confirmation hearings was that at some point he had several $100,000 of debt that was not explained, and that debt suddenly disappeared, and he also couldn't explain how that got paid off. So what his answer was at the time is that he bought Washington Nationals season tickets for him
For
and several friends.
$700,000.
Well, if you're getting
Several $100,000. I don't remember the exact amount.
that would make sense. If you're getting a luxury suite, which he probably was, then those go. So for like the Sacramento Kings, the luxury boxes, and they only play 41 home games. Those luxury boxes are like $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 pop. Those are corporate
They can
boxes.
be.
Yeah.
So he's saying it's just a bit of a lame excuse. He's just said, "Oh no, I bought a bunch of baseball season tickets, and then my friends paid me back."
I bought half the stadium.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing. I mean, I'd go to the movies with friends, and we wanted seats all together before they had reserved seating. So I'd be like, "Hey, I'll get all the tickets. Y'all pay me back." And first of all, you never get paid back. You pick up 8 tickets,
No,
you're
you
getting
don't.
shorted a couple of
Somebody's
tickets.
not
Somebody's not
going.
going to pay you. Somebody's like, "Hey, I'll get you next time," and they don't get you next time. That's for movie tickets. And, this is on a much grander scale. You don't buy somebody else's season tickets and get the money back. That's bullshit. So, anyway,
I'll spot you at 5, man.
Right. But the debt disappeared. There's just a lot of questions. And so some of these questions are pretty specific. They're saying, we want receipts of what you bought. If you bought what you said you bought, produce some proof that you did so. Tell us how you got paid back and when. These large sudden raises and drops in your account. This is all pretty important because if he is beholden to someone, or if, as is suggested through some of his past behavior, he has some significant gambling issues, you don't want somebody on the Supreme Court of the United States who might suddenly find himself indebted to somebody literally for large sums of money.
Because Johnny Lips is gonna break his legs. See.
Here's here's one of the most fishy issues of all of this is Anthony Kennedy, when he retired, am I right? It's Anthony Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus, for some reason I blanked on his name. Anyway, so when he retired,
The justice that Kavanaugh's replacing.
Yes.
Okay.
like the next day, they figured out that his son had loaned Trump money, and now you got another judge that's coming in with gambling debts. And to me, that just suggests you're up for sale, and he knows that. And I'm sure he's perfectly happy to continue to pay Kavanaugh long after the presidency ends. He wants someone that he can pay.
Yeah.
And so
Our world is more and more like Back to the Future 2 every day. The alternate future that they go back to after Biff steals the sports almanac.
Yep.
This is what our world feels like now.
A guy comes and visits me, and he says, "Hey, what was it? 30 years from now, some punk kid's gonna come and ask about this with some crazy doctor. When that happens, you kill him."
Funny. I never thought it'd be you.
okay,
He was talking to Marty McFly.
I know.
Have you seen Back to the Future too?
I've seen all of them, including the one in the Western.
Did you pay attention, or did you just see
I've
them?
seen them.
I know you've seen them, but have you heard them?
Yes, I heard them, and
Okay.
I also heard the dialogue, just like I've seen every Rocky.
Yeah,
every single
she
Rocky.
gave me like a little movie boner the other day because I looked at her. I said, "Hey, what movie is this from?" "You knocked him down. Why don't you try knocking me down?" And she knew that it was Rocky V, and it was when Tommy Gunn pushed over Paulie in the bar, and then Rocky took him outside and kicked the shit out of him in a street fight.
I did know that.
What is love?
You've got some like tricks up your sleeve. You got some topics that you can fish you out of any situation.
So you mentioned that an independent has flipped his vote and will not be voting to confirm Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
You had mentioned the other woman who is having
Susan Collins?
Susan Collins has a major financial backer who says if you
No,
don't...
I don't know if it's her financial. That's the problem. I don't know.
Okay.
A lot of the facts on that. Hold on.
So somebody in broad strokes is saying if your vote doesn't flip, that money's not there. I'm gonna potentially put that towards your opponent. In any event, do we know exactly how many votes he needs to be confirmed and how many he's down to now?
Basically, the Republicans have a 2-vote advantage.
Isn't it 3 with Pence?
Yeah,
Pence
Pence would be the tiebreaker.
McCain's seat is empty now.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a thin margin. If all the Democrats vote against him, the Republicans have to run the board, basically. A couple people flipping puts it in jeopardy.
Makes it much more close. Okay. So they need 2 more people to flip?
Yeah. It would
Okay.
take 2 flipping.
Oh, it looks like this is a crowdsourced event. Tens of thousands of people raising money to defeat Collins if she votes for Kavanaugh.
Okay. So do they say how much money they've earned so far in this crowdsourcing? I'm sure that's probably like a
That's
GoFundMe or
not
something.
going to happen. Susan Collins is going to vote how she wants because she's not going to lose, is the problem.
Right.
Ever.
Man, I went running the other day. I don't know if I told you guys I was running or not, but I went running. And I haven't like sprinted outside in a long time. And I sprinted. And I think my lungs were like, oh, you're an asshole. And so I've been coughing for like the last 2 days. It could be the cancer. I don't know. While we're on the subject of crowdsourcing and crowdfunding, how about that couple
Oh, that was so fucked up.
that raised like $400,000 for the homeless dude who took his $20 bill and bought this woman who just ran out of gas in a bad part of town, told the woman, stay in your car, went to the gas station, bought a gas can, put gas in it.
The last of his, he only had $20 to his name, and he gave it to her.
He was a homeless vet, and she was so moved by his selfless act that her and her husband started a GoFundMe and raised nearly $500,000, gave him like 70 grand of it, and said, hey, we're worried you're going to spend the rest on booze and drugs, so when you get cleaned up, you can have the remaining $330,000. And then wound up with cars and vacations and jewelry and all
Holy
sorts of
shit.
stuff.
So they had to suspend the civil suit because there was a criminal indictment. Like their attorney backed away from him because so they did all this, and their whole thing, like Ian was saying, their whole thing is, well, we just didn't want him to spend the money on drugs. He blew through $25,000 in a few days. He was giving money to relatives. It's like, that's not your fucking business. He gave $20 to you.
Right.
And so GoFundMe came out and said, we're going to make the guy whole. He's going to get all of his money. But
That's nice.
they can't find the original money. They don't have it, they say. So, but
It's
it wasn't
so weird. We put it down right over there.
But it wasn't malicious. They just don't know where it went.
Don't know where it went. But that wine tasting hot air balloon ride that we went on, that was a Groupon. We scrimped and saved.
The brand new BMW that they impounded when they executed the search warrant.
Also Groupon. You guys got it all wrong.
So you gotta love it. I hope they do crack down on them for this. I mean, you could tell it was like a very white privileged couple that, they wanted to feel good about themselves but couldn't reserve judgment long enough.
Here's where I
They
feel
tried
bad.
so hard.
This further jades me because, and we live in a very economically depressed town. We live in a town where when summer rolls around, you can go down one of our main streets, McHenry Avenue, and see no less than 3 different car washes going on at gas stations, and it's all to pay for somebody's funeral. Every single one is to pay for a funeral and expenses after somebody died. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any of them.
No, they did a big bust on that. I get that.
Wait. What? That's so sad.
You really didn't know that? There were a couple of girls here in Modesto. They had a racket going on here and in Idaho. They were standing on the corner. They were like maybe late teens, and they would hold this baby, picture of this baby, the 3-year-old that supposedly died, and so they got like a shit ton of money, and then they'd go to Idaho and do it again.
Idaho,
So
they did Idaho, Fresno, they did Southern California.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in myself that it did not occur to me.
You do those car washes?
No, I don't go, but I
Oh.
feel soft towards them as I drive past. I don't carry cash. What the
No, I don't
bet they
either.
have card readers.
I was going to say, at this point, I think they have Squarespace now.
Fuck.
Oh, we got you on Square. Hey, do you want to leave a tip?
That's actually pretty creative.
Well, that's my thing. With Squarespace now, if I were a homeless dude, I'd be on the overpass or the off ramp, holding my Squarespace out. Hey, if you don't have cash, I can swipe. I'll give you my phone. You can put the number in. No, but when I see those car washes, and I don't know how it is in other states. I don't know how it is in other areas. But much like these people with that money, I was wondering. I never said it out loud, but I was wondering when they started this GoFundMe, it just didn't set right with me. And for some reason, I saw it and thought that's not going to end well. And I feel the same way about the car washes and about the kids selling candy for their quote baseball team in parking lots, because that's not how I sold candy when I was younger. I don't know if you ever had to sell candy when you were younger.
Right.
Yeah,
Did you go by
volunteer.
yourself to all the houses in Newcastle?
All I'm saying is, my mom would walk with me, but I was never put in a Home Depot parking lot with my box of candy and hey, let me know when you're ready to get picked up. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they're selling something and they're making a little bit of money for it, at least something's been
Goods
given.
for services.
Services rendered. But I don't trust the cause. I see the picture of the baby or the old lady or whatever it is and what they're raising money from. That's not it.
But see, this is why, I mean, one of the things that you'll hear an argument about between conservatives and liberals, for lack of a better framing, liberals will say we need more government programs to help people who need help. And conservatives will say we will donate to the charities we want to donate to. We will give what we want to give. And the problem with that is that you get shit like this. If people are left to their own devices to help, they use their own weird logic, or they get suspicious and say, well, they justify either not giving or giving selectively because they want to decide themselves who deserves it and who doesn't. And they don't judge correctly.
Well, and greed gets in the way. I mean, we have a very materialistic, consumer-driven society, and you have $400,000 at your disposal right now. And it's really, I can see, don't get me wrong, I can empathize.
Totally.
But, I mean, like, as a person, you're like, well, I mean, look what he did with that money. So, really, it's better if we spend it.
Do you see this up at $500,000? You see that $500,000, right? Fuck that guy.
You see it happen on a small scale all the time. People will justify. They'll say, I would give. If I knew it would go to the right place, I would give so much.
I always hear that.
And it's like, how the fuck do you know? You don't know. And why does it even matter? If that person goes and spends the money on whatever they're going to spend it on, why does that change the fact that you were willing to give to somebody who said they needed help?
People give to Susan G. Komen all the time, and it turns out that like 85% of their the money that they get goes to administrative costs.
Right.
So it's another way for people to get rich, because CEOs and the CEOs of those nonprofit organizations and charities make it high six figures.
Yeah.
And they say that, it's because they need to retain the talent. They don't. They just want to pay each other.
So we're doing at my other job. We're doing a calendar for a charity. We're doing it it's a charity called the California Fire Foundation, and they post all of their financials online for the last few years on what they took in, what they donated, and what the rest of the money went to. And the numbers are staggering when you watch because you realize they have to run like a legitimate business. But they earned like $1.9 million last year, almost $2 million. Now they donated, to their credit, they donated just a little over $1 million, but they still had to use $900 and some odd thousand to facilitate all of their costs and their salaries. Now I think they had something like 10 people on staff, and they have offices and they have rent.
Well, realistically,
like
people
that.
need to get paid.
You got to do that, yeah. But I mean, and the reason we felt comfortable with going with them for this charity is because that was like 50% of what's being brought in is going back out, and that was like better than the other stuff that we looked at. Like at least half of what they're bringing in is going back out.
But ultimately, there's a fundamental issue when you say, I'll give to the charities that I want to give to. I'll give to the people that I want to give to. The thing is nobody thinks of your own bias. You don't think of, who are you planning on giving to? In recognizing that you think, drug addiction is a choice, therefore you're not going to support that. And that's all fine and dandy. But when your car gets broken into because somebody needed heroin that day because they felt like they were going to freaking die, then don't cry. I mean, yeah, you can cry. I get it. It's hard no matter what. But I'm just saying, that's the problem with people donating to what they want to donate to rather than having programs set up with funding.
Right. That make more things accessible to more people in more situations. It's just, the government isn't perfect by a long shot, and there are a lot of inefficiencies. There's lots of room to criticize.
Yes.
But it's ultimately more effective if we do it thoughtfully than letting people do whatever their heart tells them, because usually their heart's going to tell them that they don't have to give as much as they thought they were going to.
Well, and I can tell you right now, I've worked in the private industry for a hospital, for-profit hospital, and I've worked in the government sector. And I'm going to tell you right now, the scrutiny is way more intense when it's government run.
Yeah.
or ran, not run.
Run. When the
it's-
government runded it.
when the government runs it, there's more because everybody's got to check a box, everybody's got to see what's going on. It's annoying, don't get me wrong, but at the psych hospital, I saw ethical violations that resulted in people's death. So, and they covered it up. I reported it to the ethics line, and they covered it up. So that's
the sad truth, is that a lot of that government red tape and bureaucracy we complain about, even though it's sometimes inefficient and maddening, it also stops bad things from happening and keeps oversight where it needs to be. So
Now, when you guys talk about these programs, California is going to become, or San Francisco rather, is going to become one of the first states or cities rather that's going to have a safe injection site. It's going to be a place where you can go if you're a heroin addict. You can go to get your clean needle. You can shoot up there.
you cannot get a clean straw. I'm
You
going to tell you that right now.
can get a paper straw.
a very, very tiny straw that goes in your arm.
You can get your needle there. You can shoot up there. There's medical staff on hand. There's also resources if you want to get clean or look at getting treatment, kind of all in one place. So if you overdose, somebody is there. They're there to make sure that you don't do too much initially. And if it does happen, there's somebody there that can give you the little needle thing. I forget what that's called.
Narcan.
Yeah. So all of that is kind of on site, and I think the hope is, one, for the addicts, they plant the seed, like there's help. Yeah, you're coming here to do it, but we also have these resources if you want to get off of it. Two, you're not stepping on needles as you walk down the Tenderloin in San Francisco.
Right.
And I think it's the more public health aspect, because if I'm not mistaken, STDs are on the rise again, because
Yeah.
once AIDS went on the decline, people were like, fuck condoms.
Still got to put a hat on it.
So STDs, I mean, in Hep C, everybody's got Hep C, especially all the baby boomers. That's no joke. It's like a really high
Is that
population.
a heroin thing?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
it's just there was just, I don't know. Maybe they were all.
So the
shooting up
opposition
together.
here is that they feel like this is saying it's okay if you're a drug addict and you want to come use drugs. They feel like it's promoting drugs or promoting drug use. They feel like it's a waste of money. I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're drug addicts. If they overdose and they die, that's their problem.
That's cool,
It's
as long
such
as
a
it's not your
short-sighted-
family.
This is all kind of housed under an idea that's called harm reduction. And it's a relatively new approach. It's a realistic approach, sort of the anti-Nancy Reagan. Nancy Reagan was famous for her Just Say No to Drugs campaign in the 80s that became sort of a hipster, ironic rallying cry to go smoke weed and do all the other things.
Right.
So this Just Say No, or somehow pretending that we're going to eradicate drugs or win the war on drugs, it's not a thing.
Well, and actually, there's evidence that the U.S. created a lot of the war on drugs.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway.
That was a Nixon thing, wasn't it? Didn't Nixon declare drugs public enemy number one? I think it was a Nixon thing. I think the real war on drugs started with Nixon.
I know it was the CIA. The CIA was.
I mean,
I think it was during the Cold War. 'Cause
let's
they were
be
trying to fuck
honest.
with Cuba.
In the 1930s, the real war on drugs was
Reefer madness.
Reefer Madness.
We had to fight the reefer madness.
May, get me some more reefer here. See, now I want to get in the sky now. Play faster, May. Play faster. Johnny, you're doing 37 miles per hour. Slow down now.
So, yes, like Kelly was talking about, it is harm reduction. Just because of my experience in AA and with addiction, from the addict's perspective, I think it's always dangerous to play with any amount of substance because it doesn't stop. It's hard to explain. That's, I think, why people think it is such a choice. Because you think, well, I mean, just stop. Or the people I like gluten and I stopped eating it. Why can't you?
Right.
And it's not like that.
It's a choice. You know what you're doing to yourself. If you don't want to do it, then just don't
do it.
do it.
And for a lot of people, and I've seen it firsthand, opiates, I think there's a fine line. That's a different topic, pain management versus substance abuse. But I've seen it. People get in car accidents. They get prescribed opiates. It's so easy.
Real talk, you don't know the rabbit hole you're going down. When you cross that line, you do not understand.
One of my really good friends, he was a football player in college, got injured, started taking pain meds for it. He was given pain meds, got addicted to the pain meds. Wife sent him to rehab, and in rehab, he learned how to shoot heroin. So it's not as simple as I just want to choose to get sober today.
Right. But the larger idea, I mean, whether these places are a good idea or not, it's the idea that some people are going to do the things they're going to do, and trying to convince them to go cold turkey is maybe not a step they're going to be able to take. So at the very least, providing situations where you're minimizing the impact they can have on other people, minimizing the impact they can have on themselves, their ability to spread disease, as you guys are saying. There are a lot of things you can do to minimize the impact so that people aren't driving across town to get what they need. They know where they can go. They know where it's safe. They're off the streets. They're not coming up to your car as often to break in and steal things.
I don't know an intravenous user's mindset, but I do know I laugh at the argument when I see people say, this is just the city making it easier for them to be drug addicts. No, it's not. They're going to get the drugs and the needle, and
they get drugs and needles in prison.
Yeah, they were addicts.
Anywhere.
They were addicts before these safe injection sites popped up, and if they close down tomorrow, they're still going to be addicts. You didn't make it easier for them. But I don't know if an intravenous user is conscientious of the fact that dirty needles can really fuck them up, or if they just want it so bad that they're going to use it if it's there, regardless. And this is just a way to say, hey, there's clean needles too. Like, they're going to use one way or the other, but one way is a clean needle that reduces the risk.
I watched a grown man turn into literally a crying fetal position. I mean, because he was kicking heroin. It's not not pretty. So when it's not that they're not thinking about it, I think it's just this matter. If I don't get it right now, I'm going to die anyway.
Dirty needle, clean needle. If they need it right now, they don't care what needle it is. So they're not making it easier.
Maybe they'll
for
burn it with their lighter.
User. Yeah.
I think people picture in their heads like a storefront where it's like, hey, welcome, come on in, sit down. Can I get you, what kind of heroin would you like today, sir?
Did you get the Groupon for the 2-for-1 today? It's 2 spoons for 1. You know that, right? By the way, all armbands, totally free today, on the house.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mentality of, I mean, you'll hear some parents say like, you know, I let my kids come to the house and drink because I'd rather they drink in my house than that they drink out on the streets and drive home. You can argue with the logic of that, but there's a certain logic to it. I just think that this is an approach to treatment. It gets people in the door somewhere where there are other services available. It puts people on the radar who might have moments of openness to receiving services and other moments where they're not open to it, but everybody has times when they might be more able to receive that stuff.
Well, I think it's planting the seed.
Well, I mean, people are where they are with that, but with San Francisco, they have like phenomenal drug treatment programs. Delancey Street is one of them, and it's like, people have modeled it around the United States. They have the treatment. The problem is still there, though. So and that's what they're trying to address is the diseases, the dirty streets, and I'm gonna almost guarantee that a lot of the people that come in
are looking to kick, or
no, a lot of the people that come in are the mentally ill, and so they'll also be able to receive, intervention there with something like that. So, and then I don't know how it is for other people. I know for me, like when I first went into Alcoholics Anonymous to my first meeting, I knew about it because I had seen my cousin go through it, so I knew it was something there. I knew it was something available, and I knew it was something that worked for other people. Had my cousin not gone through it, I'm sure I would have eventually got sober one way or the other. But at least for me, like, the seed was planted. Like, there's a place to go, like there are options. We maintain our anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film. Why do you not get this?
It never said anything about podcasts, and we're not part of the press. That's different. You know what? They need to update that.
You're the fucking Charlie Sheen. That's why they have this.
I can't help it if I do this whole podcast on Tiger Blood. That's just what I do. Winning. Hey, Facebook.com/That's Delightful, on Twitter @DelightfulCast. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but we have literally segged every single topic that we've brought up to into the next topic.
I love segging.
Segway
is a phenomenal little ride that people use around offices in San Francisco. But our Segways, every single one went from one topic to the next kind of seamlessly. We never really had to break it up or anything. And I actually, I was on pins and needles this entire podcast because when I realized what was happening, it was kind of like a no-hitter. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to bring it up. I just wanted to wait until we were right at the very end. And I'm really proud of ourselves tonight.
That is awesome.
All right.
Did you take your pill? I'm just kidding. I asked him that today when we were walking out. I couldn't help
I was squirreling today.
What do you find delightful in this past week, Michelle?
Okay. There's going to be a couple of things. One of them, I watched it the other day on demand. It's the CNN documentary RBG. So it is the documentary of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the sitting justices on the Supreme Court. She is, at this point, it goes into how she became probably the most liberal judge on the court right now. And it goes into and talks about all of the policies and cases that she's won before the Supreme Court for gender equality. And, she's, ever since the Lilly Ledbetter issue came up, Lilly Ledbetter, it was obvious that Lilly Ledbetter was discriminated against in terms of pay from her male counterparts. She made 40% less for doing the exact same job than all of the men there. And it was obvious. So it went before the Supreme Court. And at the time, W had placed 2 white male conservative justices. So when the Ledbetter case came before the Supreme Court, their response was, you filed too late on this case. So, yeah, even though it is absolutely discrimination, we can't do anything about this. So that's when Obama passed the Lilly Ledbetter Equal Pay Act. But anyway, so it just kind of details the notorious RBG and how she came to be who she is.
What was her phrase? Get your foot off our necks?
Well, that wasn't her phrase. It was somebody else's. But I'm trying to think. It was Susan B. Anthony, I think. But it was basically, we don't want something, or we don't want privilege for our sex. We just want you to take your foot off our throat. Yeah. Our necks.
Yeah. By the way, RBG, when she was younger, kind of hot.
Stone Cold Heidi.
I mean, not bad. Not bad.
There's a movie coming out about her in a month or two.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't that already play, at the State Theater?
No, I don't think it's come out yet.
Oh, okay. But I'm down to watch it. She's really...
I think the State Theater played the CNN special that we watched.
Oh, okay.
Is what the State did. But
she works out for an hour every day, still.
Oh, planking like a fucking boss.
Yeah, she was planking, and it just kind of showed, her whole thing is, I'm not going to yell or argue. It's not my way. I'm going to educate you the best that I can. And it's like, damn, woman, you go.
She's awesome.
She is awesome.
So that was your first thing. You had a twofer. So,
and the other one is I just found it today because Ian found it, but Atypical. It's a show on Netflix. Actually, one of our colleagues introduced me to it as well, told me about it today.
You watched part of the first season with me. This is the second season we're watching, by the way.
Shut up, is it?
Yes.
When did I watch the first season?
Do you want to go? You know what? We'll start.
I remember you guys talking about it.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did you take your pill today?
Do you want to go back? Do you want to go back and watch the first season with me? Because if you don't remember, you missed the whole bartender affair thing.
No, I got it now. Now it's just going to be annoying.
Okay.
But
it's a good show.
I don't remember watching it with you.
No, we all talked about it because I asked on my Facebook and I asked you, is this show an accurate representation of somebody on the autism spectrum?
I remember the one for the doctor. That's all I remember.
The good doctor.
The good doctor, yeah.
No, this was something that in fact, We talked about this on our podcast when we first started our podcast.
Then fine. Never mind. I don't find it delightful.
You can still find it delightful.
Nope.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
It's not delightful anymore.
To the show's credit, the second season is off and running to a good start. It's a good second season.
Dude, I need to quit the prison.
No shit. My memory is shit.
Like, I was on it before this.
Kelly, did you take a pill?
A little bit.
What'd you find delightful?
Oh man, you guys.
Take it in Ibiza.
Aw, pouring out for Avicii.
Okay, so I went to Utah. I went to the, it's called FanX, the Fan Experience. They can't call it Comic-Con legally anymore. But had all kinds of great experiences while I was there. I got to see Jeff Goldblum work a crowd like magic. I know what kind of nut is his favorite nut.
Jeff Goldblum was there?
Yeah, among others. Jason Momoa was there. David Tennant, my favorite, my doctor. David Tennant had to go to the bathroom. He had the longest lines. He had longer lines than Goldblum and Tim Curry.
What?
I know.
Okay.
I know. So anyway, David Tennant ran past me on his way back from the bathroom, and I've never swooned before, but I swooned. I think I had a bit of a boner.
You had a Johnny Resnick moment. I get it.
I did. I just never saw it coming, but there it was. So anyway, that's not what I found delightful. David Tennant's always delightful. But I did a couple of other things. I went to a haunted house, which I love doing. I paid the extra money so they could grab me and throw me against the wall. It's very cathartic.
Wait, haunted house as in like something that...
Oh, no. Tell them about the rafters.
Oh, so this haunted house, they have a number of them, but this was the best one. It's called the Fear Factory. It's set in an old factory. It's been hunted by ghost hunters on the TV. They have validated deaths that happen there. It's haunted. There are ghosts. But they also have, you pay $30 or whatever, and you go through the haunted house. Are we still recording?
No, we're good. We're good.
You go through this haunted house, and it's high production values. They spend tons of money on the costumes and the makeup. I wore a glow stick around my neck that meant they could grab me and throw me around. But you go through this factory, and it's rusty. It's steep stairwells that you have to go up and down. And then there's this catwalk 4 stories above the ground that you have to walk across. And there are people in costume, like climbing on the handrails, like doing acrobatics on the handrails, like climbing after you. And you have to like go underneath them. It is terrifying. So great.
Fuck that.
No, it was so great. You come out of that just like...
Fuck that.
It is the best. But what I really find delightful, I know I'm doing like a 3 for here, is on Saturday night, I was kind of tired from conning. I didn't really want to go. And I'm so glad I did. My brother-in-law had an extra ticket for me, and we went to see the Aquabats. Have you ever listened to the Aquabats?
No.
Aquabats is one of those bands that a lot of people are like, oh, I have a friend who's into the Aquabats. He's kind of weird. The Aquabats are a kind of ska pop punk band from the 90s. They've been around for about 20 years or so, 25 years, and they wear blue unitards with an A on the chest. They wear leather like football helmets from like the 1920s. It's a whole act. There are 5 of them. They are led by MC Bat Commander. The other members of the band are Eagle Bones Falconhawk, Crash McLarson, Jimmy the Robot, and Ricky Fitness. And they each have their alter ego. Oh, well, not alter egos. Each have their superpowers.
I was like, that's not their alter ego?
These guys, they had a TV show, which part of what I find delightful is you have got to find this show. It is the most delightful show you've ever seen. It's for kids, it's for adults, it's for everybody. But here's what happened at the concert. I know I'm talking a lot, but this is a story that is like my favorite concert story. And I've been to way concerts, like hella concerts. So this was a show. It was an all-ages show because kids love the Aquabats, grown-ups love the Aquabats. They have songs about things like... They have a song called Shark Fighter about a guy who fights sharks. And when they play Shark Fighter, they have big inflatable sharks, and they throw them out on the crowd, and people throw them around. They have a song called Pizza Day, which is about, you know, when you're a kid in school, Friday was always pizza day, and it was the best day of the week because you got pizza. So they have big inflatable slices of pizza that they throw out. So you had 4-year-old kids standing next to, like, grizzled bikers all singing about Pizza Day when you're in school. And what happened was a couple of older guys got rowdy. They started crowd surfing on the pizza. And a little kid got hurt. A little kid in full Aquabats costume.
Aww.
She was probably 7 years old. And MC Bat Commander stopped the show. And he said, come here.
MC Bat Commander.
MC
I'm
Bat
sorry.
Commander.
The way you said that with a straight face. So MC Bat Commander was like,
guys,
hey.
you would love this show. Have you ever watched Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yeah.
These guys created Yo Gabba Gabba. This is the same
that's who
guys.
that is?
Yes.
I hope somebody punches them in the face.
Fuck you.
I remember
So-
Yo Gabba Gabba. They're high.
No, they're amazing. So here's what happened.
High.
MC Bat Commander brings this little girl up on stage, and she's like crying her eyes out. And everybody in the crowd is like, take us to the men who've done this. And he's like, hey, turn the lights on. And he goes, security, these two guys right here. Send them home to their mom's basement or wherever they came from. And so, they start fishing these guys towards the front so security can grab them. And he talks to the girl. He's like, hey, what's your name? Her name was like Esmeralda or something like that. Aurora. Her name was Aurora. And he says, Aurora, can you find it in your heart to forgive these gentlemen? And she goes, I guess.
Oh.
And he said, okay, you're still out. You're still going home to your mom's, but she forgives you, so the Aquabats forgive you. And the guys get kicked out. And then he leans down and he says, Aurora, do you want to ride the pizza? And she goes, yeah. And he looks down at her parents like, can she ride the pizza, you guys? And you can see him up front like, yeah. And so they surfed this big inflatable pizza up to the front of the crowd. And he picked her up, and there was this terrifying moment where you realize there's like 3 feet between him, who's holding this girl, and the pizza. And everybody's just like, what do we do? They're holding the pizza out as far as they can. And he throws the girl. And she lands like perfectly on the pizza, and the whole crowd just goes like crazy.
Aww.
And then they played the rest of the song. They did like an extended version of the song, and they like surfed her all the way around. And she's just sitting on this piece of pizza like triumphant.
Did you want to be her so bad?
No, I was just like, I was tearing up. My sister was like crying her eyes out. Maddie, you guys met Maddie. Like everybody in the crowd was just like, oh my God. This girl had like the best moment of her life riding pizza around the crowd. It was just the best.
Fucking MC Bat Commander. I mean, he just gets me.
It's so MC Bat Commander, you guys. If you ever get a chance to see the Aquabats live, or just go to YouTube and Google Aquabats, they have a Kickstarter right now because they're trying to make more episodes of their show. I highly recommend you go check them out.
Okay.
Anyway, Aquabats.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
I only have one this week. Henry Cavill. You know what I'm talking about.
We know what you're talking
Mr.
about.
Mustachio himself.
I know what you're talking about because you tagged me in a post on it, but
Well, I had to tag you in a post on it. You get mad
didn't
when I don't.
have to. Are you fucking serious right now? Are you serious right now?
What?
I didn't get tagged. What the fuck?
Well, I thought it would. I thought that
Why does she get tagged but not me?
Because
Ian?
I thought she cared more than you did.
I love Henry Cavill. That's the one thing you can't. He was a great Superman.
Henry Cavill, in my opinion, has portrayed the best Superman out of all of the Supermans. And people make a really strong case for Christopher Reeves. I'm not into it. I think Henry Cavill does it better. But there was a rumor floating around, and it was reported by like USA Today and everybody that Henry Cavill and his management couldn't come to terms with Warner for the DC universe as Superman, the Man of Steel, and so he was out. And it finally came out this afternoon that that's not the case. It just looks like he can't do the cameo in Shazam, right? There's a conflict
Which
there.
sucks because that would be awesome.
But that's my, I take that back. I have two delightfuls.
Is Shazam is DC too then?
Yeah, that's their attempt to do funny.
It's
with
not.
Zachary Levi.
Whoa. My delightful. Hold on. So delightful 1, Henry Cavill sticking around as Superman. Delightful 2, the trailer for Shazam,
Oh,
which I think
sorry.
looks fucking awesome.
It does, right?
Yes.
I love my.
I think it tries too hard to be Ant-Man. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Billy Batson and
trying to
Shazam
do
has been
big.
around for a long, long time.
They're doing big, which big plus superheroes, I can get on board with that, especially because it's Zachary Levi. That's Chuck. That's TV's Chuck.
Oh, that's why you want to see it.
I want to see it. I grew up with Shazam. I watched the cartoons. There was a whole cartoon series, very poorly made, of Shazam, where every time, but it wasn't just him. There was 3 of them that were Shazam, that were the superheroes in the yellow and red cape. And they would put their arms down with the palms facing out and go, Shazam! And then Billy Batson with his crutch would turn into Shazam.
So during that same movie, we saw the preview for Aquaman.
Yes.
I feel like that. I mean, I think it's going to do probably better than any of the other movies, but because Jason Momoa. But
Who, by the way, was a great sport at Comic-Con. He was up for anything. Some people are real turds. Some famous people are real assholes.
he's
at those
married to Lisa
conventions.
Bonet. So
He's just a pleasant human being.
You're not going to go, "Aw," when you see Lisa Bonet and Ray Donovan
No,
the
you're
last
not.
few seasons.
it's really disturbing.
Because she's a brother fucker in that one.
Oh no!
Like-
A lot of incest.
Yeah. But aw.
I know. Now I can't. Like I used to think of her as which Huxtable was she?
A Huxtable.
Lisa Bonet Huxtable.
Yeah.
Wasn't her name Lisa?
I think it was.
Okay, I was like, no, I'm not wrong on that, right? Anyway,
Yeah. And then she went to. Was she the one that went on a different world
Yes.
with Sinbad?
And then she did she do Poetic Justice? No, that was Janet
She was in High
Wow.
Fidelity with John Cusack.
unintentionally racist.
That's not. I
She
corrected
wasn't. That's
myself.
the other one I liked too.
Okay.
Fidelity
She had a
was
really
wonderful.
good role in that one.
She did. She was like this kind of earthy, like folksy
Fun
singer.
fact about me: that's one of my favorite movies.
You love High Fidelity?
I love High Fidelity. I like.
That's the first time we've ever agreed on a movie,
I
Michelle.
know.
That movie is wonderful.
It is. It's like very underrated. It's not one of. Yeah,
I know.
I liked Grosse Point Blank too.
Thank you, Vintage
Wow.
Cusack.
Wow. You guys are really hitting it off tonight.
That was like the end of the Cusack reign.
Yes, that's when Cusack was cool.
What about Better Off Dead?
Like the next year, he did Serendipity and Must Love Dogs, and it was all over.
It was all downhill from there.
What about
He
the
needs
one?
to stay indie, like that kind of.
Yeah.
What about the one where the world ended? Was that 2012? Is that what that was?
We don't talk about that.
Where they got on the arcs? They called them the arcs.
We don't talk about that.
I don't remember that one.
That movie was awesome.
Is that a
Yep.
The world was ending. It was flooding, and the government literally made ships that they called arcs, and there was like 5 of them, and that's how you got saved. Is you got on the ark.
He made a movie like that?
Yeah.
Was Kirk Cameron in it?
It was by the guy who made Independence Day.
It was not. Yeah, it was not a Christian movie. It
no.
wasn't like
It was a
we're-
destructive movie.
It
Because it was
sounds
right
like
when
it.
we thought the Mayan calendar was ending.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like end of the world Mayan calendar style.
Oh no, that's not. He
It was some
shouldn't do
bullshit.
stuff like
They
that.
like flew an airplane to go save their dog or some shit.
Joan Cusack is also underrated.
Always good. She's never had
No.
a dip in quality.
Favorite Joan Cusack movie? Anyone?
Oh shit. I mean, maybe Grosse Point Blank.
I'm gonna go. Jesus Christ. Robin Williams. Was it the Toys?
Toys?
Yes.
That
Really?
movie's fucking weird, man.
I love
It
that
is
movie.
weird. I can't watch it because
That movie is like awesome for the first half, and then it gets batshit crazy.
I love that movie. I love every part of that movie.
I think mine would probably be My Blue Heaven. I liked her in that movie.
Also love that movie.
There's just a special magic when John and Joan are in movies together, and they were in both High Fidelity and Grosse Point
Yes.
Blank together, and it was wonderful.
And she was in Pushing Tin too?
She was in Say Anything with him. She played his sister.
She's usually in like all of his movies, like the movies
Yeah.
that he has any influence in. She's
and
in them.
he's kind of an asshole, it turns out. He was my hero. Like, Say Anything was my favorite movie for half my life, and he's turned into kind of a dick. But she is wonderful.
I'm with you.
always.
And Shameless
And
too.
she has that kind of... She has kind of a Drew Barrymore lisp to her
Yeah.
the way she
Yes.
talks.
Yes.
Like, she calls him an asshole in one of his movies.
Did you ever watch Shameless?
No.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Dude, you have. That's
We're
probably.
squirreling so hard. I love it.
I know, well, we
I could
saved
nerd
it-
out with this so long.
We saved it to the end. But if you ever seriously watch the first few seasons, because Joan Cusack kills it.
Joan
owns
Cusack
that
was in
show.
Shameless?
Yeah.
Joan Cusack fucks William H. Macy in the butthole with a dildo.
But it's like she's like super like, you know, cheerful. Everything is happy and cheerful. But then she likes to use dildos on men. It's just like
Wow.
her character's really cool.
Oh, School of Rock, too. She was awesome. She was like the button-down principal in School
Yes.
of Rock. She was so
remember.
good in that with Jack Black.
You didn't like School of Rock?
I don't remember it. I probably
Okay.
didn't watch
Oh,
it.
it's so good.
Well, all right then. That's it.
Anyway.
74 in the books. Facebook.com/That's Delightful. If you ever do squirrel hunting, you may find us. Because we are squirrely AF. Until next week, friends.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to That's Delightful. Online at totallydelightfulstuff.com, facebook.com/That's Delightful, and on Twitter at That's Delightful1.